oil spill, Eriton blames sabotage, empathizes with affected community. Armed men attack Plateau communities, heads home, kills son, abducts wife. NDLEA intercepts 4.5 billion naira heroin in baby food as man excretes 90 pallets of cocaine. Neutralize terrorists without mercy, Major General Musa charges troops. Thousands told to evacuate Sydney as heavy rains bring life-threatening emergency. Indigenous Oil and Gas Company Eriton Exploration and Production Company Limited have said the oil spill from its wellhead in the Niger Delta region was caused by activities of vandals around its facilities in the affected area. Eriton, in a statement released by its spokesperson Messi Max Ebibai, in response to an oil spill incident that occurred on June 15, 2022, from Carlton Channel Well 15 wellhead in one of its areas of operation, said joint investigative visits JIV conducted by the company showed that the entire valves on the Christmas tree wellhead accessories such as the control valves, tree caps, etc. were removed. Our correspondents gathered that the OML 18 operated by Eriton produces and exports crude through the 97-kilometer Nembe Creek truck line NCTL and is located near the corridors of the export line in Rivers. She added that the vandals also removed and gangway, making it more complicated to intervene on the flowing well. The spokesperson further stated that the removal of the platform means that their technicians have nothing to stand on in attempting to control the unplanned flow, as the well is standing at about 30 feet above sea level. She also empathized with the affected host communities and indicated that another joint investigative visit will be held immediately after the containment exercise to estimate the environmental impact of the spill, noting that a cleanup exercise following the planned JIV would also be concluded in the shortest possible time with all safety precautions and observance from all stakeholders. The Niger Delta Environment Restoration Coalition has hailed the Defense Headquarters (DHQ) for the renewed onslaught against crude oil thieves operating in the region. It said apart from saving the country a huge amount of money that would have gone into the hands of the criminals, the anti-illegal bunkering operations are helping to save the flora and fauna and the health of the people in the region. The group, in a press release on Sunday, signed by the President, Mr. Justice Eselomo, said the synergy by troops of the different operations in the region is yielding results. The group attributed the renewed vigor with which the troops are going against the economic saboteurs to the determination of the Chief of Defense, General Leo Irabo, to rid the region of economic saboteurs. The Commissioner of Police, Ebonyi State Command, CP Aliyu Garba, at the weekend announced the arrest of a fake police officer, Enyi Friday, who parades himself as an officer and deceives people in the state. The suspect, Enyi, hails from Umuwagu Idembia community in Eza South local government area of Ebonyi State and was arrested for impersonation. Enyi was arrested by one Anyigo Lazarus, who is the commander of Ebubeagu security outfit in Eza South local government area of Ebonyi State. Enyi, who is not a police officer, was caught wearing the uniform of a police corporal, hence his arrest. The commissioner, in a statement signed and made available to journalists in Abakaliki through the police public relations officer, PPRO SP Chris Ayanwu, said the suspects have been handed over to the State Investigation and Intelligence Department for further investigation. He urged the general public to continue to partner with the police in Ebonyi State in a bid to rid the communities of criminal elements. The Enugu Electricity Distribution Company, EEDC, says more than 20 transformers have been attacked by vandals across the company's franchise network within the southeast in the past 3 weeks. The head of corporate communications, EEDC, Mr. Emeka Eze, said in a statement on Sunday in Enugu that 4 of the suspected vandals have been apprehended. Eze, who narrated the ugly experience EEDC had been going through in the hands of vandals, reiterated the company's resolve to continue working with critical stakeholders to ensure that the elements perpetrating the dastardly act were apprehended and brought to book. According to him, there is no day that passes without the company receiving a report of electrical installations being attacked by vandals. He said that the suspected vandals apprehended had been handed over to the police stations for proper investigation and possible prosecution. The EEDC spokesman also called on customers to be more involved in securing electrical installations serving them. Eze commended the efforts of the security personnel, vigilantes, as well as the President General of Communities and their teams for the efforts in apprehending the suspects. The People's Democratic Party, PDP, in Lagos State has faulted the proposed increase in the fare for Bus Rapid Transit BRT across various routes in the state, calling for a reversal of the plan. The Lagos State Publicity Secretary of the party, Mr. Hakeem Amode, in a statement in Lagos, berated Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu for approving such a hike, saying it would add to the plight of the masses. Amode said the APC-led government blaming the hike on the pump price of diesel from 187 naira to 830 naira and the unavailability of spare parts for the increase were not justifiable. According to him, with the crippling economic situation being experienced by Lagos residents daily, the government showed a lack of compassion and total disregard for the plight of the citizens. Amode said the proposed increase should be shelved so as not to worsen the citizens' situation in the face of dilapidated infrastructure, insecurity, hunger, rise in crime, among others being experienced by the people of the state. Sanwo-Olu had on Thursday approved a flat rate increase by 100 naira in bus fares for all Bus Rapid Transit BRT and standard routes with effect from July 13th. With the increase, a bus ride from Ikorodu to TBS will now cost 600 naira from 500. Beja to Aja is now 700 naira, up from 600. Also, Oshodi to Abuleba will cost 450 from 350, and Abuleba CMS to Obalende will attract a fare of 600 naira. The police in Edo State on Sunday confirmed the kidnapping of 2 Catholic priests identified as Reverend Father Peter Udo of St. Patrick's Catholic Church, Uromi in Ian, Northeast, and Reverend Father Philemon Obo of St. Joseph Retreat Center, Uboha in Eshan, Southeast Local Government Area, both in Edo Central Senatorial District. They were kidnapped on Saturday along the Benin-Ekboma Road in the same Edo State. This is barely 1 week after the Catholic priest, Reverend Father Christopher Odia of St. Michael Catholic Church, Ikabibo in Itsako West Local Government Area of Edo State, was kidnapped and killed by his abductors. Confirming the report, Edo State Police Command spokesman Chidi Nwabuzo said the divisional police officer in charge of Uboha, Police Division has called to inform that one Reverend Father Amos Abulime on Saturday came to the station to report the kidnap of the two Reverend Fathers. It was gathered that the two clergymen had attended a program in Benin City on Saturday, July 2nd, 2022, and were returning to base when their vehicle rammed into some unknown gunmen who violently intercepted their car. The suspected gunmen were said to have fired several gunshots into the air, which forced the car that had the two Catholic priests to stop. The United Nations Fund, UNICEF, has commended the Nigerian government over the release of over 50 children abducted against their will in other states. UNICEF Nigerian representatives Peter Hawkins made the commendation in a statement released to journalists on Sunday. Hawkins cautioned that violence against children under any guise is an evil that should not be tolerated, stressing that children should not be targets of violence in whatever guise. He called on governments to redouble efforts to protect children against all forms of violence, emphasizing that a society's health is measured by how it treats its children. Recall that the police in Ondo State yesterday rescued over 50 children from an underground apartment of a church in the Valentino area of Ondo town. Police have arrested 3 members of AA confraternity for forcefully initiating a young girl into their cult group. The spokesman for the Ogun State Police Command, Abimbola Oyeyemi, confirmed the arrest of the suspects in a statement on Sunday. He explained that the trial of Daniel Njoku, aka Agege, Damilare Ogundira, and Adebayo Olamilekan, who were arrested last Thursday, initiated the victim into the group and then gang-raped her. Their arrest, Oyeyemi stated, following a report lodged at the Ajuwan Divisional Police Headquarters by the mother of the victims. According to the command spokesman, the team, acting on credible intelligence, located the hideout of the group in Akote Odo area, stormed the place and succeeded in arresting 3 members of the gang. The Commissioner of Police in Ogun, Larry Bankole, who condemned the incident, ordered the immediate transfer of the suspects to the Anti-Cultism section of the State Criminal Investigation Department for discreet investigation. 10 persons have died and 7 others injured following a motor accident involving a Hummer bus with registration number GWL 350XA and a Sharon box with registration number XF218GME in Yobe State. The incident happened on Saturday night near Gashaka along Potiskum Gombe Road at about 10:22 p.m. The Zonal Commanding Officer, Federal Road Safety Corps, Zone 12, covering Bauchi, Yobe, and Borno States, Assistant Corps Marshal Rotimi Adeleye, confirmed this to Atlantic Television Network on Sunday. He said that the accident happened as a result of overspeeding by the driver of the Sharon bus. Adeleye further revealed that the corpses have been deposited at the mortuary of the specialist hospital in Potiskum, a 20-kilometer distance from the scene of the accident. Those injured have also been rushed to the hospital. The General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, RCCG, Pastor Enoch Adeboye, says he never asked Christian faithfuls to purchase guns to defend themselves. The clergyman made a clarification following earlier comments on the killing of worshippers in Ondo State by terrorists who invaded St. Francis Catholic Church, Owo. Atlantic Television Network had reported that at least 40 worshippers who had gone for the Sunday Mass on June 5th lost their lives to a church attack. Although Adeboye had said Christians should defend themselves in what he termed fire for fire, the revered pastor stated that his statement was misinterpreted. But clarifying his comments during Sunday's sermon tagged Men's for the Top, the RCCG leader said, "Now, there are 1 or 2 things that were said during the Holy Ghost service I believe some people might want to misrepresent." Adeboye stated that Christians don't need guns, nothing that Samson in the Bible never bought an AK-47. He fought with the jawbone of an ass. Don't go and buy guns. In any case, the authorities, won't give you permission. Adeboye, however, mentioned that the church was ready to deter unwanted visitors from gaining access to its premises. Rabbi Rabiu Kwankwaso, the presidential candidate of the New Nigerian People's Party (NNPP), said accepting to be running mate to any presidential candidate would lead to the collapse of NNPP. Kwankwaso, a former governor of Kano State who was in Gombe State to inaugurate the state office of the NNPP and to meet with elected members of the party, stated this in an interview with newsmen. He said his political profile built over the years and his wealth of experience having served in various capacities in the country had helped in bringing NNPP to limelight within a short time. He stated that with the fame the NNPP had achieved within a short time, anything short of his presidency under the party would mean the collapse of the NNPP. Kwankwaso confirmed that his party had been in talks with the Labour Party for possible measure, but the main issue that hindered progress was the issue of who becomes the presidential candidate. The death toll of the number of security personnel killed by terrorists last week in Niger State is rising as more bodies have been discovered in the bush. According to Sani Koki, the convener of Concerned Shiroro Youths of Niger State, who made it known in Mina on Sunday, more bodies are being discovered by locals. Koki stated that the body of a mobile police officer was recovered in the bush by residents on Saturday evening. He also said that the death toll has risen to 48 as against the 42 earlier reported by ATN. The youth representative gave a breakdown of how the figures was arrived at as 34 soldiers as against 31 reported by our correspondent, 8 mobile policemen as against 7 and 6 residents. The All Progressives Congress APC in Zamfara State has said it was shocking to hear someone who is living witness to the terrible security situation in the state condemning the additional measure taken by Governor Bello Muhammad Matawale to protect people's lives and properties. A press statement signed by the party's publicity secretary in the state, Yusuf Idris Gusau, said the unintelligent comments of the opposition PDP secretary in the state, Farouk Ahmed Rijia, only goes to show the mindless way the PDP feels over the havoc being perpetrated by bandits. Gusau said the governor had since assumption of duty called on all Zamfara state indigents from within and outside the state, as well as Nigerians and non-Nigerians within and outside the country, to help him in finding a lasting solution to the banditry issues bedeviling the state. Gusau added that the All Progressives Congress APC in Zamfara State is 100% in support of Governor Bello Matawale's new measures to end banditry and ensure the success of the policies and programs so that our rural communities will go back to their villages and sleep with their 2 eyes closed without having any fear of being attacked. Governor of Zamfara State, Bello Matawale, has commenced the training of newly recruited community protection guards aimed at effectively fighting the bandits. Speaking during the flagging off ceremony of the training of newly recruited community protection guards, we'll be right back after this break. Governor of Zamfara State, Bello Matawale, has commenced the training of newly recruited community protection guards aimed at effectively fighting the bandits. Speaking during the flagging off ceremony of the training of the newly recruited community protection guards in Gusau, Matawale said his administration was moving towards implementing new security measures. The governor said his administration has come up with additional measures for combating insurgency in the state, among which is the recruitment of community protection guards in each of the 19 emirate councils of the state. He said the decision to establish community protection guards was informed by his administration's desire to work out all possible options to deal with the increasing acts of banditry, causing loss of lives, untold hardship, and rupturing intercommunal peace in some parts of the state. The governor added that at the end of the training, the CPG members would be deployed to their various communities in the 19 emirate councils of the state to energetically complement the security forces in the fight against banditry and sundry crimes. Armed men in the early hours of Sunday stormed the Angwa Baraya community in the PM Chiefdom Mangu local government area of Plateau State, shooting sporadically, and the time calm returned. It was discovered that the community head, Baba Yarima Jabil, was injured, his son, Chamsan, shot dead, while his wife and one other woman were abducted by the invaders. It was gathered that the community leader has been taken to a hospital for treatment, even as residents are expressing worry over the incessant attacks by armed men. Recall not too long ago, the Son Payam, the traditional ruler of the Payam people, and the district head of Payam in the same Mangu local government area were abducted from their homes and ransom paid before they regained their freedom. The State Police Command was yet to confirm the development, as the Police Public Relations Officer DSP Alfred Alabo said he was yet to receive any reports from the DPO of the area, but a resident, Audu Ibrahim, said the gunmen came at about midnight and made for the community leader's compound, shooting sporadically as residents scamper for safety. A non-governmental organization, Nigerian Youth Organization NYO, has called on the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) to procure more voter registration machines to ensure that Nigerians can register for their voters' card with ease in polling units in all the 774 local government areas in the country. The organization also lauded the Commission for introducing the Bimodal Voter Accreditation System (BVAS) technology, saying the new technology had removed the thuggery and ballot box snatching during elections. The national president of NYO, Honorable Abdullahi Wali, stated this while speaking at the inauguration of the team codenamed Team 5 Million Youth Committee yesterday in Abuja. Wali said the team would set up structures in each state of the federation, including the FCT, the 774 local government areas in the country, and the 8,812 wards to serve as a platform to mobilize young people for the 2023 elections. Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project (SERAP) has urged President Muhammadu Buhari to meet the demands of the Academic Staff Union of Universities (ASU). The group advised Buhari to redirect some of the presidency's 3.6 billion naira budget for feeding and travels and the 134 billion naira allocated to the National Assembly for 2022 to ASU. SERAP also called for the recovery of missing 105.7 billion naira of public funds from ministries, departments, and agencies (MTAs) to fund public tertiary institutions. In a letter on July 2nd, Deputy Director SETRAP Kolawole Oluwadare said meeting ASU's demands would address the inequality in educational operation. SERAP lamented that the government's failure to implement the agreement with the union has kept many students at home, while the children of politicians attend private schools. SERAP urged the president to take action on its demand within 7 days or face legal actions to compel the government to comply. You are watching the news on Atlantic Television Network. Operatives of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency (NDLEA) have intercepted 22 blocks of heroin weighing 23.55 kilograms concealed in packs of Nestle Cerelac baby food at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Ikeja, Lagos. In a statement on Sunday, the NDLEA explained that the consignment, with a street value of over 4.5 billion naira, came from Johannesburg, South Africa, on board South African Airways flights on Wednesday, 29 June as part of a consolidated cargo that arrived the SACO import shed of the Lagos airport. After a series of follow-up operations that led to the arrest of 2 freight agents, the actual receiver of the drug consignment, Chike Okeke Enweni, who distributes the substance for his South African-based partner, was arrested the following day, Thursday, 30th June, at a logistics warehouse in Ajao Estate, Ikeja. Chike, who hails from Anaucha local government area, Anambra State, claims during preliminary interview that he is also into fish farming. The chairman or chief executive of the NDLEA, Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Mawa, retired, has expressed satisfaction with the exemplary performance of the officers and men of the MMIA command in the past week, while also commending those of Rivers, Kaduna and Borno for being vigilant. He charged them and others across the country to remain steps ahead of the tricks by the desperate drug cartels. The Debt Management Office, DMO, says revenue generation is a major constraint of the federal government and impacts the country's debt situation negatively. Patience Oniha, Director General of the DMO, said this in a telephone interview with ATN on Sunday in Abuja. According to Oniha, systemic resource mobilization has been compounded by recent economic recessions. She said that the most viable solution to the country's challenge remained to grow revenues and plug all leakages, as cutting expenditure was not a viable option. She, however, said that several measures were being taken by the federal government under the Strategic Revenue Growth Initiatives (SRGI) to improve revenue and fiscal prudence. According to her, it also includes evaluation of the process and policy effectiveness of fiscal incentives. Oniha said that the federal government was also taking measures to identify and plug existing revenue leakages to enhance tax compliance and reduce evasion. The National Youth Service Corps has described as unfortunate the reported arrest of Corps members Oji Nkena by the Osun State Police Command. He was said to have been arrested alongside a staff of the Independent National Electoral Commission over alleged electoral misconduct. According to the police, Oji, a Corps member attached to INEC office as an ad hoc staff in charge of voter cards distribution, allegedly collected his permanent voter's card on the orders of one Wale Ojo and Ijamakinwa Olaoluwa, both members of a political party, for financial transaction. The NYC, in a statement issued Sunday by its Director of Press and Public Relations, Eddie Megwa, said the case was under investigation. Megwa said it is rather unfortunate that Corps member Oji Nkena, who is one of the accused persons, could debase himself into such an atrocious act, noting that the case is under investigation, but that if found guilty, the law should be invoked accordingly. The Theater Commander Joint Task Force JTF Northeast Operation Hadin Kai Major General Christopher Musa has today, Sunday, 3rd of July 2022, charged troops of Operation Hadin Kai to neutralize all terrorist elements in any part of the northeast region of the country. General Musa gave this charge while addressing graduates of Train the Trainers course Batch 2 2022 at the Theater Training School in Maimalari Military Cantonment, Maiduguri. While rewarding and recognizing best graduating students of the course, the theater commander also urged course participants to impart the knowledge gained from the course in their subordinates at various units. While appreciating the officers, instructors, and soldiers of the school for their commitment and dedication, the theater commander also acknowledged the contributions of the Nigerian Navy Special Service, Center for Civilians in Conflict, 7DMSH, 7DPT, Group, and many others who have contributed to the training of the participants. Earlier in his welcome address, the Theater Training Officer, TTO, Brigadier General E.O. Oduyebo, disclosed that the 83 participants, comprising of 9 officers and 74 soldiers, were drawn from various units across the theater. He stated that a 2 weeks rigorous military training is designed to broaden participants' knowledge of military operations, civilian harm mitigation, leadership, and build can take on and neutralize any adversary anytime, anywhere. You are watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. Up next, international tidbits. Hundreds of Sudanese protesters demanding an end to military rule took to the streets of the capital, Khartoum, and its suburbs for a fourth straight day Sunday, witnesses said. A violent crackdown by security forces during mass rallies on Thursday killed 9 military takeover last October, led by Army Chief Abdel Fattah Burhan. Recent protests have seen crowds burn tires and barricade roads with bricks, with security forces using live bullets, firing barrages of tear gas canisters, and using powerful water cannons, according to medics and the United Nations. Demonstrators demand a restoration of the transition to civilian rule that was launched after the 2019 ouster of the longtime autocrat Omar al-Bashir, which the coup derailed. The death toll from protest-related violence had reached 114 since last year's coup, with the latest fatality recorded Saturday when a demonstrator died from wounds sustained at the June 16 rally, according to pro-democracy medics. The daughter of Iran's former president, Akbar Hashemi Rafsanjani, was charged with carrying out propaganda activity against the country and blasphemy in social media comments, the judiciary said Sunday. The charges are connected to comments reportedly made by Farzeh Hashemi, 59, a former lawmaker and women's rights activist, during an audio debate on a social media forum in April. Hashemi is reported said that Iran's demand for revolutionary guards, the ideological arm of the country's military, to be removed from a U.S. terror list was damaging to the country's national interest, according to local media. Removal of the terror designation of the guards is a key sticking point in negotiations over restoring Tehran's frayed 2015 nuclear deal with world powers. Hashemi also made separate comments concerning Khadija, the wife of the Prophet Muhammad. She is reported to have called Khadija a businesswoman, showing that women can also engage in economic activities and whose money the Prophet spent. Thousands of residents were ordered to evacuate southwest Sydney, Australia's biggest city, on Sunday, with torrential rain and damaging winds pounding the east coast and threatening floods in areas that were hammered in March. The Weather Bureau warned of heavy rainfall potentially leading to flash floods and landslides along the east coast region, from Newcastle to Batemans Bay in New South Wales state, with rain expected to intensify over the next 2 days. New South Wales Emergency Services Minister Steph Cook said in a televised media briefing that they are now facing dangers of multiple fronts: flash flooding, riverine flooding, and coastal erosion. Experts say the flooding emergency has been worsened by climate change and a La Nina weather phenomenon. A La Nina develops when strong winds blow the warm surface waters of the Pacific away from South America and towards Indonesia. In their place, cold waters come up to the surface. North Korea has criticized an agreement between the United States, South Korea, and Japan to strengthen military cooperation, claiming it is part of U.S. plan to create a military alliance like NATO in the region. North Korea's foreign ministry spokesperson said as much to a question put by KCN 18 reported on Sunday. ATN recalled that the U.S. President Joe Biden, Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, and South Korea's President Yoon Suk-yeol had met on the sidelines of a NATO summit last week and agreed that the progress of North Korea's nuclear and missile programs pose serious threats to not only the North Korea peninsula but also East Asia and the world. They said they would explore further means to reinforce extended deterrence against North Korea. ATN also gathered that the North Korea has this year been conducting missile tests at an unprecedented pace and is believed by some to be preparing for another nuclear test. You are watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. Up next, entertainment and sports stories. Following Wizkid's declaration of love for both Burna Boy and Davido, social media awakened to mixed reactions. The popular Afro-pop musician made this declaration on stage at the Afro Nation Music Festival on Saturday night. He said, "I got love for Burna Boy, I got love for Davido, I got love for everybody, and I want to thank you, the fans, for supporting us." While some have greeted the singer's confession of love with commendation, his speech has also met with condemnation. Some are of the opinion that Wizkid was trying to leverage the fan base of both Burna Boy and Davido to sell his yet-to-be-released album, saying they are sure it's in the pipeline. Some others think it's a genuine act of humility for Wizkid to have made such a declaration openly on stage. American professional wrestler Gianna Jane Dadio, who is popular with the ring name Liv Morgan, is the current SmackDown Women's Champion in her first reign. Morgan successfully cashed in on Ronda Rousey to claim the SmackDown Women's Championship in an intensely dramatic Saturday night match. The first title in Morgan's wrestling career, the New York-born wrestling performer claims the money in the bank briefcase with an escalated energy. It was a dream come true for the elated Morgan's fans, who have long desired to see the American professional wrestler launch into the main event. Morgan is currently signed to WWE, where she performs on the SmackDown brand. Prior to her celebrated championship, Morgan's professional stints in the WWE saw her sign a contract with the WWE in 2014 and was assigned to the WWE Performance Center. She later started appearing in NXT under Liv Morgan's name. Israel Adesanya has called out Alex Pereira title defense after retaining his middleweight championship by beating Jared Cannonier in the main event of UFC 276 at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. Adesanya's superiority in striking was evident in the octagon as Cannonier could not land any telling blow, with the last style bender keeping him at bay while picking him apart with jabs and kicks to the body and legs. Overall, Adesanya outstruck his American opponents 163 to 141, including 116 to 90 in significant strikes. At the end of 5 rounds, the judges called the bowl 49 to 46, 49 to 46, and 50 to 45 for the Lagos-born fighter for his 6th straight successful title defense. The 32-year-old has prior wins over Robert Whittaker twice, Yoel Romero, Paulo Costa, and Marvin Vettori. After the fight, Adesanya called out former kickboxing rival Alex Pereira after Brazilian for his knockout win over Strickland, but insisted he is the better all-round fighter and will show him what mixed martial arts is all about. Pereira has 2 wins over Adesanya in their kickboxing days, including one by knockout. Meanwhile, with his latest win, the last style bender remains unbeaten at 185 pounds in the UFC with 12-0 record in the middleweight division. And that's the global news for tonight. Before we go, another look at the major stories. Oil spill, Everton blames home, kills son, abducts wife. NDLEA intercepts 4.5 billion naira heroin in baby food as man excretes 90 pallets of cocaine. Neutralize terrorists without mercy, Major General Musa charges troops. Thousands told to evacuate Sydney as heavy rains bring life-threatening emergency. Thanks for joining us.